Push out a little bit, like that. A little bit more, sort of get in. That's it, that's it. That's the ticket. Hello, so this is my lovely model Pippa. We're going to be taking off a little bit of length. Pippa, it's kind of one of those situations where her hair's kind of taken a bit of a beating the last year or so. So we're just going to give her a fantastic glow up. We've got some old colour through here. We're going to kind of blend that away. Basically, what we want to do today is we've got a few sparkles around the front, a few natural highlights that we want to start blending back through. We want to soften all of this, give it like a soft sort of balayage. Pippa's quite open, aren't you? Sort of like, you don't mind sort of like warmth, which is good because obviously we're breaking through colour. I decided not to use a colour remover because in a real life situation, someone might come into the salon and they might not have the time or the money to have the whole thing. So this is going to be like more realistic. So this is almost like a balayage / colour correction altogether. I'm going to use my new Shatter technique today. So I'm going to make it a bit more impactful around the front and the edges of the hairline. And as it goes towards the crown, it's going to kind of peter off, give us a nice soft look, nice glow up. And then we'll go from there. In about 3 months, we'll do another session, do more of the correction. But I think today this is going to look stunning.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Cannot wait.
Lovely. Let's get cracking.
You always use K18, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Did use it in the old salon. Jack Martin, I follow him.
Yeah.
Amazing colorist. I noticed he was,
amazing.
yeah, so I noticed he was using a lot of this K18 and I was like, what's that? Do you know what I mean? And oh, that would help if I actually opened it up. There we go. And then after that, I was just obsessed. So I had a word with the directors of the salon and we got it in. Unfortunately, it is one of those products where you do have to know how to use it.
Yep.
And some of them didn't use it correctly, used too much, and kind of it made it feel drier because obviously the product's got nowhere to sit. And I think it put a lot of people off of using it. So we did move over to Ultimate Repair in Weller, which was great, really love that. But since going self-employed, I decided to go back to my K18 because I know it and love it, and you know, I'm my own boss now, so I get to choose exactly what I want to do. Right, so sectioning pattern, really simple. I'm just going to cut through. I might actually do it just more of a centre. We've got a slightly off centre part, but let's base it off a centre part. Just the normal quadrants as you would do normally for like a root tint or something like that.
We were always taught as the hot cross bun system.
Yes. And I'll just clip this just for neatness. And then literally I've never been one for fancy schmancy sectioning. I never take like I know some people like pre-map loads, which is great. Not for me.
Yeah.
I like to keep things simple.
Well, I think also with, you know, Gods of Hair, it's got to be your everyday, what you would do in everyday life.
Yeah, exactly. Completely.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I'm just taking this little diamond section just through the top. And this is really customizable as well. You know, you can take the diamond bigger if you wanted to. Basically, this is going to remind me of where to start petering out the colour. Okay. Just bring that all together. Like I said, I'm all about simple sectioning, no stress, no drama. Doesn't have to be a perfect diamond, but you get the gist. And like I said, this will just remind me, let me just lift this up a little bit more. I think I might go a little bit more just down here. But this is just so I remember that when I get to this bit, that's where I start leaving out a little bit more hair. Also, I'm someone, I don't really do hair ups or anything like that. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes if I have too many sections, I feel like I'm almost doing a bit of a hair up. And it just doesn't do well for me. There we go, and just clip that loosely. That's not digging in, is it, Pippa?
No, it's fine.
Amazing. So yeah, that is the main sectioning pattern. And then subsections, literally just diagonal back all the way up to that diamond. We're going to go really heavy around this front bit. And then I know that when I get to this diamond, then that's going to be where it starts petering off. So that's the simple bit. Nice, simple, no stress, no drama. Then we go and mix up my lightener. I'm going to mix up two. I'm going to mix one slightly stronger for the mid-lengths and ends with colour. I'm going to do a slightly softer one for the natural because I know that that is going to lift like a dream. This isn't. I am going to correct it out afterwards. I'm going to almost like fill because this is going to lift a bit lighter. So I'll just do a quick fill for like 5-10 minutes before actually toning. Amazing. Right, let me go and get mixed up. I'm using air touch because I would sometimes tease, but I don't want, if I was to tease it, then all of that artificial colour would get into that. And so you'd almost have like a marbled effect, whereas I thought a little bit of more air touch would just kind of push those baby bits away nearer the root, but I'm still gonna get all of this. So yeah, I'm not weaving this section, literally just painting. Start off, so I'm just using 10 vol down here. Trying to sort of see where the colour ends and the natural hair begins. It is actually quite blended, but we know it's there. It's just like a little bit denser, so. And then I'm using just 5 vol. I'm just kind of just irking it up a little bit. There we go. A little bit more saturation down here. I've done 2-to-1 for the ends because so it's a bit looser. I prefer a slightly looser viscosity, and also as well, especially around here, it's going to be on that little bit longer. So having that little bit more developer just kind of softens it out a little bit. The strength is in the powder, not the peroxide. Obviously the peroxide does make obviously a huge difference. But if I was to do say like 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.5, it's going to lift up a little bit quicker. And I've only just started the last year painting with a board, so much better.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Absolute game changer. I'm not worrying too much about getting like the best blend ever, because I know Pippa wants to be slightly deeper, don't you, on the root? So I know that I'm going to root melt, so I'm not going to cry if, you know, we get a few little bits that aren't perfect. If I wasn't planning on root melting, or I had a day where, you know, CBA, which we all do, and we want to cut out that extra bit, I would be a lot more careful with this. But so I've done 2 back-to-backs. I'm literally going to back-to-back it, I think, through most of this, but I am going to start to do more of we've done 2 almost like slices, like thick slices. Pippa's, she's got a fair amount of hair, but it's not the thickest head of hair. So now I'm gonna just move to more of a heavy weave. Because it would look a bit odd, I think, to have a slice and then suddenly like a medium or fine weave. So I know, because this isn't in the diamond, I know that this is my strength. Do you know what I mean? These are my stronger, more pronounced pieces.
Dramatic.
Yeah, to really sort of soften it out. I mean, I know on these bits we're going to get some of the dark still in there, but I just feel that I said to Pippa, by softening this out, it's not a million miles away. Like, when you pick it up section by section, you can kind of see it a bit more, but when it all comes together, it's not a complete difference, you know? So I thought by sort of doing these heavy weaves under here, yeah, we're still going to have some of that colour, but it's really going to still be a lot brighter and kind of more cohesive. Very big word for a Monday morning.
It's a very big word.
Very big word.
You might need to explain to me what cohesive means.
A bit more together.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to do one last section on this side, then I'm going to do the other side, just for, you know, to make it more even. Do you know what I might even do? Let's do a nice zigzag here.
And I think that's the thing, part of our job. It's about being creative and looking at the hair, about where it's going to fall and
Yeah.
going like section by section. You could go in with a plan,
Yeah.
but also as you're going along, you go, right, I'm going to do this here,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that,
Do you know what?
change.
Yeah. Do you know what? I mean, my best friend and my boyfriend, I've said to him for a while, like, I just feel like I'm winging it most of the time, but actually I'm not winging it. I'm just dissecting each section and going, what do I want to do? Like, I don't get how you can come up with a solid game plan just by looking at someone's hair. Like, sometimes you've just got to kind of go with it. And I change my mind a lot. Like I say to a lot of my clients, like when I have a consultation with them, okay, so here's what I'm thinking of doing, but on the day I could end up doing something actually completely different, you know, or I might think about it, because I'm one of those people, I think about sort of colours and stuff like that, you know, when I'm at home. And
So do I.
yeah,
I go to bed and hair is on my mind.
yeah, that's it, exactly.
This is a conversation we had the other day, wasn't it? Struggled to get anybody to do with my head just like how I've actually wanted it to be. And
Yes.
people just, it's like either like a straight cut.
Yeah.
The layers are just like falling out on my hair because I can't get it up.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just like they've had that plan, haven't they? And
Yeah.
like that's what they've done, and you know, it's kind of like a one size fits all, and actually it's not like that.
Yeah.
Or it shouldn't be like that. It should be, you know, person based. I've always been really passionate about that. Like, okay, we do this because not only do we love it, but obviously we do it to make money, but also I just love making people feel good.
Yeah.
And the only way you're realistically going to make people feel good is by doing a completely bespoke service on them.
Absolutely.
You know? So when people, as some of you may know, I charge by hour.
Yeah.
And that does include development on the grounds that it's like half an hour. So it's not like they're sitting for like an hour. Sometimes if I'm using a colour remover, one of the colour removers I use does take a good hour. So to kind of make it more affordable in that case, I will kind of reduce the price of that, but then I will happily do like a blow dry or a cut in between, because I know it's a colour remover, it's not going to melt the hair off, you know. Obviously I let them know, but aside from that, most of my developments are kind of based around sort of like half an hour, 3/4 tops. And I love that because...
Well, I think that's very unusual, like not a lot of stylists do hourly rates, do they?
No.
We were talking about this yesterday, you know, you've got completely different ends of the scale within our industry. You've got the really cheap salons, then you've got the really, really expensive ones. And where do people go? Where they can't afford that? You know, the way you're doing it by the hour, you know where you stand.
Yeah, exactly, and there's no hidden costs. And I love it because I did try the normal way when I first moved to Thanet, and it was like, oh, okay, so we can give you this beautiful look. However, I might have to do a toner, I might have to do this, I might have to, and that's gonna be an extra 20, 30, 40. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of takes that magic out. Whereas if I just say to someone, look, you know, we're probably going to be together for, including the cut, say 3 to 4 hours, which is going to be X, Y, Z. I always, if I think something's going to take me 3.5 hours, I always quote 4. And I let them know that. And so I say, right, the maximum is going to be X, Y, Z. If I take less time, I'll take it off the bill. If I do take more time, because let's face it, sometimes, you know, I do this sometimes. Oh my God, throwing everything around. You know, you start doing something, you're like, oh, this is actually going to take me about an extra half an hour than what I expected. No, not with yours, hon, when we're going to make sure it's not. You know, then that's on me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember when I first started seeing your posts, actually, I was like, oh, I've never known anybody to charge by the hour.
So, I mean,
it's like a set price, and then maybe extra on the day.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that in America, they do it a hell of a lot. Like, that is almost like their main way of working. But it seems that over here, it's like we haven't, which is weird because usually, sort of like we do follow America.
We do.
And it's usually only about a year or two delay, but they've been working like it for years now. Because let's face it, you know, you go on Instagram and you look at all these beautiful looks, and sometimes they've just had to spend the time. You can't, I find sometimes, and this isn't, I don't mean this in a nasty way, so I'm going to try to say this in a nice way. I feel sometimes with British hairdressing, it's the difference between a good hairdresser and a bad hairdresser is what they can do with the time that they're given. And some people are naturally quicker than others. I'm efficient, but I wouldn't say I'm not a rusher. I don't like rushing. I do like to spend that little bit more time on someone, but work efficiently. And I found that before it was, you know, when I'd be working with other stylists and they were sort of whizzing through and doing a full head highlights in like an hour. I can't do a decent full head in an hour on like medium hair, you know, because people don't want chunky old highlights anymore. But no, I love it, to be honest. I'm going to work this way forever. And let's face it, colour techniques have changed.
They have.
You know, like you've got tip outs with balayage, you've got X, Y, Z. A lot of that stuff you actually do while they're developing. You don't have the option. By the way, just a heads up, if I had £1 for every time I dropped something or something like that, then I'd be an absolute millionaire.
You'd be making the £70.
Yeah, I would be making over 70. I'd probably making about £150 an hour, to be honest. I feel that things are different, and you can't just whack someone's foils and then leave them for that time. Some people, and I think as well, it's horses for courses. Some people love the almost like chaos of it, you know, and love that sort of that high energy going from one client to another. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather, okay, if I was to double book, I could potentially make more money at the end of the day, you know, but I always see like money as energy. And what we do in our work is like the energy we put in to make that money, right? I don't think taking home, say, an extra £50 a day is worth the energy and stress, you know, and the anxiety. I think also as well, the way I see it, if you're spending and you're putting your all into someone's hair, they will appreciate you more. And they'll be much likely to return. So I think for you've got to, when you're a business, you've got to think of the long game rather than what money you can make right here, right now. So if my retention is going to be better, which touch wood it is, my retention is very good, rather than making a quick buck and then maybe not seeing half of those clients again because, you know, they've been moved from pillar to post or having me like stressed Liam, you know. Anyway, I'll get off my thing now. I totally forgot to weave that bit, but here we are. Yeah, like I said, I'm not worrying about being too neat and tidy with this application. I kind of almost want to make it almost like a semi-express service. Obviously, it will take longer because we've got long hair, a fair amount of it. Again, one of the reasons as well why I've done sort of 2 to 1 is just so that it's a bit looser, so it means that I can take these sections a bit bigger. Once I get to that diamond section, I'll probably be doing more kind of like baby lights, maybe not baby lights, but medium weaves. So I won't be doing tons of them, but I might go to like 1.5 maybe. Oh, I've just upped my lightener. So I always start with the weakest. I would normally start with like 5 volt if I was doing a full head, but because we're dealing with colour, I've just upped it to 10 volt. I've intermixed 10 and 20. I always like to mix up sort of relatively frequently. Keeps the power going. What I try and do though, pro tip, is I'll mix up a little bit more than what I need for the back section. So that's been in its bowl for like 5-10 minutes. Because it's oxidized, to me it's like a little bit weaker. So when it comes to the hairline, you're not at full strength. Those times which I always think, oh god damn it, when I do need to mix up a fresh batch for that front because I've literally got none left, I tend to mix up then 2 bowls and I just do one slightly weaker for that very front hairline. So say if that was the case here, I would go back and probably go back to 10 volt for those first few sections, then go back to like my 15-20 volt after when the hair sort of gets a bit stronger in the middle, because nobody likes their hairline snapping off.
Waving at you.
Yeah, that's it. Yoo-hoo!
Hello!
Big summer blood.
Just for the same thing.
I probably will just keep that 5 volt for the natural roots as I go, because like I said, the actual natural colour is only, like we've got like a level 6. We're really only looking for like a 7 or an 8, so.
So with the root mount, are you going to mix up just a natural?
I think so. I'm going to kind of go, I'm going to use sort of probably more of like a 5 or 6, but I'm probably going to use a brunette. Just so it's rich. I don't want flatness. I kind of want sort of a bit reflective. I think especially because we're kind of having that, you know, that nice sort of like 7-8 level like caramel. I think that will go really well. I'm a little bit classic, and some people might shoot me for saying this, but to me, if I kind of want if I'm looking for warmer colours, I'll tend to stick to all warmer colours. I know some colourists love to intermix kind of like your ashes and your warms, but to me that that confuses me. I like to keep things simple. So we're going sort of like more of a neutral warm. So I thought if we kind of go to more of a neutral warm, so brunette tone is great because, as we know, brunette is got that little bit of warmth, but it's also got a little bit of blue violet behind it, so it's not warm, you know. I thought that looked quite pretty. We'll see what happens. I might change my mind.
If it goes, like, as you say, you're doing a root mount and you're going to go over those blonde bits, so you haven't really got to worry about them going through.
No, yeah, exactly,
it's about
yeah.
keeping everything simple, that you haven't got to pre-do anything to those blonde bits.
That's it, exactly. Worst case scenario, if I feel that any of those are pretty light, almost like an 8-9 level, I'll just do an express fill and kind of do like a 703 and a bit of 74 just to even it out. I know that can be really scary sometimes because you're thinking, you know, we're probably going to end up with quite a little bit of warmth through the mid-lengths and ends from the colour. And it's kind of like, some people would say to me, well, you're adding more copper onto copper, but the thing is it's already copper. So all it's going to do is even out the canvas, you know. It just means that for that extra 10 minutes, so I've decided not to use a colour remover, which could take like, what, 2 hours? You know, including drying and stuff like that, and then sort of getting the colour balance before lifting. Extra 10 minutes.
I have never used a colour remover.
Really?
Yeah, never.
Okay, I mean, you should try.
Yeah, I like 24 years I've been in this, and I've never done colour remover. I haven't had to. I haven't had to have those clients that want it completely out. I think I've been very fortunate with my clients that they are on a journey with me.
Yeah,
you know?
I do love a good journey.
Yeah.
Right, that's all the outside bits done. So now it's just the interior, which is the easy bit. So I'm just going to mix up a fresh bitch. So yeah, start off with 10 vol for the ends, then 15. Now I'm just going to mix up 20. I think, yeah, I might actually I'm going to be really lazy and just put it in the same bowl. I don't mind being a bit messy. As long as the outcome's great. I'm not really a neat worker. Again, let's split this back into our quadrants. So yeah, I've just mixed up some 20 vol now. So this will all roughly, that just helps it to develop a bit more evenly. And it means that you don't have to worry about those sort of foils that you started with sort of melting the hair off, you know. Which is always nice.
Always, yeah.
It's always good.
Always reassuring.
Yeah, always reassuring. But I said, depending on the canvas, I'll even sometimes just start off with like 1.9%.
Yeah.
Right. Just clean that up a little bit. So super easy. Now I'm going to just do a few more subsections. So I'm actually going to leave out some. So whereas all this is pretty much almost like back to back, the only bits that have been left out are the bits that I've sort of weaved. Yeah. Now I've got that diamond bit. That's the bit that's kind of remind me that I need to leave subsections between. So I'm going to start off with a bit of a stronger weave here, and then the next two, I'll only have about sort of 2 more foils for this section. Just go finer, then finer again. So it'll just peter out a little bit, but still give us the coverage, which would be nice. I'm also going to leave these bits a bit more on the rooty side, so I'm not going to take it any higher than that. I'm almost taking it to kind of where the colour kind of ends. Me and flipping hair in a foil, it's very hit and miss. Sometimes it happens first time, you're like, yeah, I've nailed it, and then other times you're like, oh.
And then you get these bits stuck to your
Yeah, and then it all just, yeah.
Stuck to the comb.
Yeah, and then you're crying, and they're crying, everyone's crying. Cool. Yeah, flip once, flip twice. Obviously we don't want to flip it just the once because otherwise all of that will get onto there, and again we'll all be crying afterwards at how disgusting it is. I'm not very neat with my foils either because to me I'd rather be efficient and get it done. Oh, I mean, kudos, like respect to them, respect. But I don't have the patience to do that, to be honest.
I think she's a weller.
Yep.
Yeah, her foil's on.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I always like photos and stuff, don't get me wrong, it looks amazing, but for me personally, again, I think time is money. Do I want to spend an extra half an hour on an application to make them look pretty for foils that are going to be coming out probably in about like 20 minutes? No. Personal preference.
That's the other thing. So normally, like I know every hair's different, but on average, how long do you leave your bleach to work for? Because some people, I mean, when I was training, I was never, you never left it on like people do now. Like,
no.
I mean, some people leave it on for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I personally, I wouldn't trust that.
No.
But as I say, everybody's different.
Yes.
So it depends what products you're using, I suppose,
sure.
and things like that. But on average,
I would say what I tend to do, being a smoker, I'll kind of do my application, check the first few.
yeah.
If I feel that it's a bit meh, then or starting to get a bit too light or what have you. Usually it isn't because I started off with a lower volume. Yeah. I'll just run out for a quick cigarette, 5-10 minutes, and then I'll start taking out the back.
Yeah.
Usually, like I said, the reason why I do hourly is based around half an hour to 45-minute development. And to be honest, from a business side of things, like I guess clients could argue, oh well, literally I'm paying him to go outside and have a cigarette. However, that money is paying for the products that I'm using.
Yeah, that's right.
So actually, it's all relative. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, not long is the answer. Not long.
We're very similar in that.
Yeah, it scares me. Like sometimes, obviously, if you've got those clients that kind of want that sort of white platinum hair, and you need to get that super clean level 10, then yeah, I'll do 20 vol tops. It's very rare that I go in with anything higher than 20 vol in a foil. And usually that is only for about half an hour tops, to be honest. If I feel they just need that little bit more of a push, I will leave it on probably a good 45, or sometimes I just bump it up to like 25, sometimes if it's particularly dark hair. I think the thing is that, yeah, okay, you don't want to put 40 vol in because it's like a bull in a china shop. But
and also the warmth just comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's just the way yeah, because obviously it's reducing the melanin in the hair. Well, if you do anything too strong, it just lifts right up. And it's almost like trying to eat a bowl of rice, like the rice being the warmth. I don't have the patience for them. Okay. To be honest, I do them occasionally, like I done one last week and it was very, very nice. But she did have a longer regrowth, so I did have to bear that in mind. And I just sometimes I'm halfway through, and obviously you've got to take the micro sections. I'm sort of like, oh, it's just a patience thing, you know. But I do think nowadays, sort of less and less people are getting a scalp bleach. So kind of like when you have one in, you're kind of like, it's such a different thing to what you'd normally do. You kind of almost want to do it.
And I actually think think that, you know, in all honesty, most now, the high lift colours and the boosters that you can put in colours are quite good.
Yeah, they are.
They do. They're not like they're not like they used to be.
No. No, they're a lot softer and kinder, aren't they?
And they lift better, don't they? They do lift.
I love it.
Like you know,
I think high lift tint does.
Yeah, it just depends on what level you're at.
Yeah. You know what I noticed with the high lift, while I was with Weller especially, obviously you naturally want to go in with like your ashes and your violets to control the warmth, but sometimes if you do just use a complete ash and complete violet, it almost looks darker because it's ash, and so it looks warmer. Whereas actually I started to go in with more like subduing, I started to subdue that with just the O's.
Yeah, 12 O's.
And you know what, I found that actually it lifted, as long as I wasn't wanting a platinum effect, do you know what, even some balayages I will happily do just with a high lift.
Yeah. Or
you
the
know?
10s. I always find the 10 ones and the 10 O's.
Yeah.
With a 12%, I think it's a nice, it is a nice tone.
Yeah, definitely. Not bad. So we've done most of it and it's taken us just over an hour. So it's not bad.
Brilliant.
So like I said, semi-express. More starting to get almost like, not baby lights, but you know, a bit finer. Actually leaving a subsection. And I'm kind of hoping that by softening this out, yeah, okay, we're going to have that darker still in between, but I'm kind of hoping that that will all blend together really nicely and just really soften through this interior bit. But we've got where I kind of almost done back to back around that front bit, it's going to be much more of a pop. So we're going to have much less of this dark colour around the edges.
I think it's going to look stunning. I can't wait to see it.
Thank
it's
you.
the only thing, isn't it? As being a hairdresser, you've got to wait for it to process and wait for the end result.
I'm so impatient.
Yeah. I always say to clients, don't look at it when it's wet, 'cause it's a different colour.
Oh my God, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the same for us though, isn't it? We have to wait.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Until it's dry, until we fully know.
I'm very excited.
Some bits by my own admission. I think I forgot to air touch a couple of the bits, but it's okay, we're root melting, so it's fine. And I've kind of still blended it. So this bit, like I said, I'm actually leaving a lot of these roots. I think some of it I just started to go, I was just kind of in my own world, sort of loving life and... do my exercises. This will be a bit cold as well, sweetheart, all right? Is that all right? Amazing. I can feel my jeans are riding down as I'm doing this, but... Que sera. Just pop your head up, my darling. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what's this, Liam?
So this is just to help bring down some of those sort of blonde bits and also even out the canvas a little bit more. So I'm doing 2 parts 703, so natural gold, to 1 part 74, which is copper. Even though we've got warmth down here, I am sort of almost doing a full head application. I find by doing stuff like this, okay, you're adding warmth on top of warmth, but it's going to help to give us the most even result possible when it comes to the root melt. Like I said, the main bit though is getting those blondie bits. With the natural, obviously, natural always lifts that little bit more, so I knew those bits were going to be a bit more on like the level 8 to 9s. Some of them are, but this will just bring everything back together. And you can already see sort of through here, it's just starting to get that in there. So yeah, we'll just leave that in for sort of a good 5-10 minutes. Then a good rinse. And then we shall root melt at the station. That's looking so pretty already. Really nice. Right, so let's just get some K18 in there, the actual mask. I've done a couple of the spritzers. So I'm probably going to do 2.5-3 pumps. That's all I need to do for this. This keeps it really nice and strong, Pippa.
Okay.
Although the root melt is kind of, it's not aggressive, but this is, if I give it sort of 2 rounds, then it's going to make it even more healthy. I do spoil you, don't I?
You do. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Somebody's got it.
Cool. A little brush through. Looking good already. Formula wise, I am going to be doing, I think, a 5-8 with a little bit of 6-8 in there, so it will just deepen but keep it rich through this root area. Also blend some of those sparkles. And then through the ends, I'm going to use, I think, keep it simple, 7-8 with just a touch of clear, just so it's a little bit lighter, because I kind of just want to borrow the tone, not the depth. And then maybe just a smidge of neutral, I think. Just because obviously the 8s, it's a warm brunette, we're already on a warm canvas, which is fine. But I think a little bit of neutral just in with that stroke 8 will look absolutely banging. And doing this pre-fill, you can see it's just a lot more even. We've got a much more even canvas. I don't have to worry about splotchiness. I don't have to worry about certain bits fading a bit weird. My plan is coming together well. I love it when a plan comes together. And it's still all on your head.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. This will blend them, darling, so, because the problem is that if we cover them completely, what's then going to happen is they're going to be popping up to say, hello, literally after about a week.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of want to blend them. Blend, not banish.
What, your natural highlights?
Yeah, her sparkles. Pippa was like, oh yeah, I've been like pulling them out. I was like, yeah, don't do that. Like that's not the thing. That is not the thing.
I'm just like, oh my god.
So yeah, I think root melts, like I said, I think so many people just get so hung up on them and like overcomplicate it. You just really don't need to overcomplicate it. As long as you're working relatively neat, you're fine. My biggest advice as well when I'm root melting, I always make sure that I'm melting the darker colour into a lighter colour. So it tends to be my lighter colour will be like my toner usually, or if you don't need to tone the ends, just even like a little bit of clear or something like that, just so you've got something. I sometimes find sort of combing it through, yeah, that's great, but it's can be a bit trickier to get that real nice blend.
I always find as well, like doing it on, like sometimes a diagonal when you're doing a root melt.
Yeah, exactly.
That helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, Yes, I'm going exactly that. I'm sort of doing slightly diagonal. Sometimes I'll even go vertical as well, because that's almost like the anti of, you know, because when you work horizontal, obviously, you can get a line. Going diagonal, like you said, Tammy, is softer. To be honest, what I'm going to be doing here is that because we've got quite a large sort of regrowth, I'm literally pulling this down sort of like quite far. I'm not really going to be worrying about actually combing it through just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this develop for a good 10 minutes, start letting it work its magic, literally then get my end formula all through at the basin and kind of just smudge it all together.
Yeah.
Like, then I don't even have to worry pretty much about combing and stuff like that. So, lazy colorist. I'm loving this colour already though through the ends. It's looking very, very nice. I think as well, it's really easy to forget that we've got hands and they're actually very good for blending.
Oh,
so once I've kind of put the formula through, I kind of just swipe up and I kind of use that. Yeah.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I find combing.
Yeah.
That's it.
All gets in there.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Like I said, you don't have to overcomplicate it. To be honest, I don't really do that many root melts. I usually like to get my blend with my technique.
Yeah.
So I don't always have to do it. However, it is a nice tool to have. I need to get rid of. So I was like, it felt like some bits would come up to the end of the tube. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna, sod it. Very wasteful, but I wouldn't normally be like this. This is one of the most satisfying things. I love gliding my hand like this. I could do this all day, literally. Yeah, just kind of get your fingers in, just kind of use your fingers to blend. Who needs a comb? There's probably about 1 million hairdressers that's going to be watching this, going to be like, oh my god, what is this guy even doing? Like, who is he? Yeah, so I've just done the formula, just kept it simple, just a 7-stroke A, so a 7-level brunette, but I have put in a fair amount of 7-stroke O. The reason why obviously natural has got warmth in it, but it's also got a little bit of coolness, so I thought that will just take that edge off. We're going on an already warm canvas. We want it to be warmer and more reflective. We don't want to take it away. So I thought the O will just kind of help, keep it super simple. You could also use a little bit of ash if you wanted to. My concern is because we haven't lifted it up 1 million levels, because we didn't want to, ash absorbs light. So I would rather just control that little bit of warmth with a neutral that's still got some warmth behind it still, rather than add in a little bit of ash and run the risk of it being too cool. Sometimes, because it all depends on the chroma, what I call the chroma of the tone. So some ashes are naturally quite strong and quite potent. And this one that I'm using, the ash is very ash, which is amazing. Like, if you want a super, super cool result, you can achieve it so, so easy. However, I didn't want to run the risk of it just looking dark and murky. We still want it reflective. So that's why I decided to use natural rather than, I say that I mix up loads actually.
Just right.
Yeah, just right. And like I said, just use your fingers. You can use a comb as well. Sometimes I will comb through and blend it through, but I tend to do that more on like blondes where I find like the blend is even more important. But because we've not got a million shades of contrast and things, I'm kind of being a bit looser with it and just kind of going with it and using my hands just to bring everything together really. Amazing. Right, now to clean up a little bit. Right. Fab. Oh my god, I've made such a mess.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I do.
Right, could you just hold these for me?
Yeah.
Thank you, just for a second. I'll grab a mirror and I'll show you how it's... Right, one mirror.
Oh, lovely. Nail polish is lovely.
Really soft. Really nice.
I love it.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you.
pretty. You're welcome, darling. It's nice and blended, which is good. So on straight hair, we know that the blend is great.
Yeah.
I've actually done a post about this the other day.
If you're going to tell about about why everyone curls when they balayage and stuff.
So it's amazing because it shows the dimension and the technique. But some people,
when you get home and you wash your hair or whatever and then it's not curled and then you think, oh,
this doesn't look so blended.
No.
Yeah, because straight hair, it doesn't leave anything, like there's no holds barred, do you know what I mean? There's no hiding. So that's why I always check that the blend's good first. So that's why I kind of smooth it. And also as well, it smooths the cuticle, so. But this is one of those situations where I know it's there, but then actually when it all comes together, like you don't actually really notice it. It still really blends. Yeah, I think like I said, all things considered, was on a very uneven canvas. But it's
I love it.
better, isn't it? Lovely. So yeah, this is about as far as my styling goes, is with the irons. I sometimes do a bit of a wavy blow dry with the brush, but this is about as far as it normally goes for me. But yeah, it's cool. Sort of as we're coming up to this bit, you know, almost like the diamond, you can almost see it's just starting to peter off a little bit. So it's a little bit more impactful around the edges. And then as it's coming up to this bit, we're just seeing those, where those sort of baby lights and highlights are.
That looks beautiful.
Thank you. Like I said, it's not perfect, but that's okay. I think as hairdressers, we're so used to seeing all these big Instagram looks, do you know what I mean? And like every strand is perfect. But do you know what? They might have spent like 10 hours doing that. And we don't always have, like I said, clients and us, we don't always have the money and the time.
And this is what this site's all about. It's all about
Keeping it real.
Exactly that.
You know, real situations.
As hairdressers, we beat ourselves up
so much.
Because
so
our
much.
looks aren't like those Instagram looks, and
yeah.
You know, and I'm like, why? Why are they not? Because
we
haven't got 20 hours in a day.
A lot of them with the big followings, let's face it, they will do 1 or 2 actual clients a week, and most of the time, like they do spend a good amount of time getting the perfect lighting and the perfect this and the perfect that. If we had all day to do a look, all of our looks would be just as good, if not better. Do you know what I mean? But realistically, you know, really about sort of 4 or 5 hours is all we've got with someone.
Yeah. Instagram isn't always real life.
Oh no, it's not.
But it can have you feeling pretty shit.
Yeah.
That you're not up there or...
sounds well snotty. But,
Your husband?
yeah, but,
Oh, bless
so,
him.
like, I don't know what's the matter with him. He was alright this morning when I left him. Don't know what's happening.
Just suddenly, yeah. Oh, bless him. I'm looking forward to doing this same technique, but on like a blonde balayage. You know, like a really blonde balayage. Like, my perfect would be like a level 7 naturally, with like a beautiful beige blonde.
Feel free to do it on me if you're like.
Yeah, let's do it. I was like, considering that's the first time that I've technically done the technique that I thought of yesterday, obviously putting into practice, it's so nice to have a technique that actually you don't have to overthink and you can just go with it.
Yeah.
Like, so I think this will almost be a bit more like my default. You know, I'm creative. You know, at the end of the day when you're creatively exhausted and you still want to give someone a banging look and they want that sort of balayage-y look, I think this is going to become my default now.
Wow, I was happy to model for you.
Oh, I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that I've given you that glow up that you needed, darling. So that's the thing, doesn't it? You know, when life happens, the first thing that goes is our hair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a bit of a funny space myself a couple of months ago. I think just adjusting to everything and what have you. And I kind of like, I didn't have a haircut or anything. I looked like Hagrid, you know.
But we've got to go through those events.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it makes the good even better. I'm going to recurl that in a minute. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but with these sort of bits, if it doesn't curl as I want them to, I leave that for a few minutes, let it cool down.
Because otherwise you just do it straight, because it will just carry on being straight.
Yeah, and then you just get frustrated and you're just burning the hair for absolutely nothing. Like, complete waste of time.
Spider nuts.
Yeah, but it's like, where do they come from? How do they even happen? Like, what is this? But yeah, what I like as well about the technique is that it's customizable. So you could take the diamond section much bigger if you wanted to, and almost do sort of like, you could do like a real intense sort of around the hairline if you wanted to, and then start, you know, going back. You can do more teased, alternate teases, weaves, all that sort of shebang. Play around with it, you know. Do zigzag bits like I did, or just do kind of highlights, you know. You can do whatever you want. I just thought it'd be quite a nice idea to do something where it just reminds me. That's all it was. It was just that diamond was just to remind me, okay, this is the bit where I want more dimension. Because it's really easy to overthink and overdo and put more in when you don't need to. So, yeah, that's really pretty. Do you want to stand up and come round? Let's take your gown off for a second. Then head back. That's it. Can you see that all right? Yeah, so it's just got a little bit more of a poke around these edges and it just kind of tapers off. You've just got that nice sort of natural depth. Really, really nice. I'm going to do some layers in it in a second, but yeah. So Tammy. And then if you just get your hands just behind your, that's it, and sort of push out a little bit, like that. A little bit more, sort of get in. That's it, that's it. That's the ticket. Hang on a sec. That's great. And then if you turn around this way a little bit. Yeah, that's great. So darling, no, that's wonderful. You just drop them a little bit. Is your arms all right like that? Amazing.